Hello there, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining me here tonight. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And it's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour. And I work on projects from beginning to end. And tonight is a special night because it's March, if you can believe it already. And every first Friday of the month, which is today, every first Friday, I stop every project that we're working on and I break out something that is just unfinished. It's Finish It Friday. So one of those projects that has been sitting around for a long time and just needs, another hour put to it. Get the juju moving on it again. So tonight, you guys, we are going to work on the I Love Home quilt by Jacqueline Steves that we started a while, I think probably over a year ago now. And I have the front done, but I am working on the back, and I'm making the back out of all the spare pieces from the front. We have some larger pieces, and then we have all the teeny scraps. So I thought we'd do some improv piecing tonight on the scraps. I'm going to show you the front of the quilt, and then I'll show you how far I'm on the improv piecing of the back, and then we'll just sew fabric together and see what we get by the end of the hour here. One thing I'm excited about this quilt is that I didn't really want to quilt it together until I had learned how to free motion quilt. And since this quilt, we've worked on the Charming Chevrons quilt, which for me was all about learning how to free motion quilt. And then also now with the Splendid Sampler 2, we've been doing a ton of free motion quilting. So I feel like I've practiced, and now it's time to get the back of this quilt done so I can dig into the free motion quilting. It's like the time has passed, the learning has happened, and now I need to get back to this quilt. So here, I'm gonna show you it. This was a quilt along that we did, gosh, I don't know, a while back now. The Jacqueline Steves I Love Home. It was a block of the month, so we got a new, they were not appliqued, they were pieced and embroidered. So here we are. I'm going to try and get it far back here for you guys. So this is the quilt. All right, I'm going to scoot you guys way back. So here we go. Let's see if you guys can see from way back there. I'm going to stand on my chair. So here is the quilt. We have this cute little border around it, but it has these embroidered squares in it. There we go. And then the bottom, so it's a nice kind of lap size quilt, and I'll get closer again so you guys can see the applique, or not, man, I keep saying applique instead of embroidery tonight. But I'll show you the embroidery a little more up close. We did it all with this coral orange color, and I stitched it all from this giant cone, so that was our little mascot for a while. So here, look how adorable. Oh, there is applique. Maybe that's why I have applique on the brain. There is applique on all these blocks. So we did a combo of applique and embroidery for these. Ugh, and they're just so sweet. And then the blocks themselves were pretty interesting too. All right, let's look at the bottom ones. So this is going to be a really nice like a large lap size quilt. Here are the other ones. So we got, whoop. Oh, that one's sweet. I think maybe that one's my favorite. I like that one. And then we have this guy here as well. What did I, oh yeah, there we go. So anyway, so that is the front of the quilt. For me, this quilt was a lot about using fabrics that were uncomfortable for me. So the combinations of these fabrics felt weird to me. Like that was a big project for me. Picking out fabrics that I liked. Like this was one of my base fabrics for it. I had bought this fabric over a decade ago, like a couple yards, and I never did anything with it because it was just too pretty to use. And I'm like, I gotta stop that. So I picked that fabric, and I picked this fabric, as 2 fabrics for my stash that I really liked individually but didn't know what to do with. So the challenge was kind of, how do I make these 2 fabrics go together? And I just grabbed some other fabric, and again, it was fabric colors I wasn't used to using together, and that was kind of the fun challenge. And also the challenge for me was or the experiment, I suppose, not necessarily a challenge, but let's attempt to do embroidery with little bits of applique, because I got a little sampling of applique and embroidery together on the Splendid Sampler project, and I wanted to explore that more, so this was a great project for that. So I always have to have some sort of experiment or some sort of agenda with all my projects, and those were kind of my 2 big things. The third thing was free motion quilting. I want to do some really fun free motion quilting with this, but I wasn't ready for that yet, and now I think I am. So it's time to work on this a little bit more. So let's plop that up there. So I have all of these fabrics left over. So actually quite a bit of fabric. We may still actually have some left over, but I also have these itty bitty scraps that I've saved. So I've started to sew together these scraps, and then every once in a while I'll sew a larger piece to it, and I want this to be the back of the quilt. So here we are. This is where I'm at with the quilt. There was I had some extra little squares, so those got sewn together. But yeah, so this is what I have for the back so far. Just kind of a chunk of fabric pieces sewn together, but here you can see kind of the smaller Improv pieces, and once that got big enough, I just sewed it onto a larger piece. And now this piece is actually large enough that I could probably sew one of my bigger pieces onto it. So I think let's play around with some of the teeny tiny pieces for Improv piecing, and then let's just sew a giant chunk of fabric to this piece of fabric to make it look like I've done something, got a little farther on this quilt. So that's the plan for tonight. Thanks again for joining me, everyone. A nice chance to just get a little farther on a project for this Finish It Friday. So, all right, I'm going to flip you guys around. All right, so here is all of my fabric. There we go. All right. Gosh, you know what? I kind of want to start out by sewing a giant chunk to this piece. Oh, Jan, I missed what happened. I'll have to look back. All right, so here is our big piece of fabric. I'm going to get you a little higher here. And so these are a bunch of my smaller pieces, and you know, it's time that we could probably find a larger chunk of fabric. And I just kind of grabbed this. Let's just see what this looks like. All right, this is kind of fun. So I bet you this almost looks like it's about the same size as this piece over here. Oh, not quite. So here's kind of what I'm looking for with Improv piecing. I'm putting 2 pieces together, but by putting this, like if I wanted to put that piece there, I still have to make a strip of fabric there. So I'm just trying to kind of equalize two pieces of fabric. Let's see what's on here. This is cute. Gosh, that is a really pretty fabric. Again, fabrics that I don't know where these came from, but they're just really pretty. Like they've just been literally in my stash for a decade. All right. This gives me a little idea of what I got going on here. You know what? I'm not sure we even used this in the quilt. Oh yeah, we must have. Just a tiny little piece out of it. Let's see what else. Yeah, you know what? This is so much fabric. I think we definitely have more than what we need for the quilt block. Oh, this is just a nice small piece of fabric. Let's see if I can just throw this chunk on here somewhere. Onto an edge. Oh, it's still pretty long. I think we need to make this piece of fabric larger before we can do much more with it. So here, if we go this bottom length, it goes about to here. So I just need to make a chunk of fabric about this big. So let's focus on that for the time being. All right, and we're gonna do that with our scraps. I'm just gonna grab some of these. So let's just grab some large pieces out of here. Okay, so this is a weird, oh, it looks like I maybe started some sort of weird improv piecing here. Okay, let's get that out. What other large pieces do I have in here? Okay. I'm literally just trying to, oh, look, here's a piece that's kind of sewn together. I'm trying to find pieces of like a similar length. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna sew this piece to here, and then we're gonna trim it straight and see what we got. So, all right, we're just gonna get started. And I think I'm gonna stay a little up higher here tonight. Okay, here we go. So I think I'm gonna just start out by trimming this, kind of equalizing that out. And I'm not gonna use rulers or anything tonight. We're just gonna cut slowly. There we go. Get those guys off of there. There, those pieces are about the same height. And I'm gonna just trim this leader off. And what I'm gonna try and do is kind of have two projects going at once so I can just continually sew. So while that one is there, let's see what else we got hanging out here. Ooh, this piece, I might be able to sew this longer piece too. All right, not quite long enough. But this guy's sitting here after sewing this guy on here where it might be long enough. All right, and then we can trim this piece off. And I'm also going to just finger press this whole thing so I don't have to get up to the sewing machine or to the ironing board every single time. But there we go, we just made this piece longer. So I'm wondering, we got this big chunk up here. This has got kind of a weird, let's sew these two together and see what happens. We're just making the fabric bigger and bigger, and all I'm doing is taking two pieces of fabric and then thinking to myself, okay, which fabric piece is larger than the other? So I can just see how much bigger I have to make it. Like, so this, I added this piece on. Let's just kind of press this. Now it's probably big enough. Oh yeah, there we go. So we are really close to these being equal, like good enough that I'm gonna actually sew these two together now. It's all about just making pieces larger. Jennifer, I am working on the back of my I Love Home quilt. So this is the quilt that we did. Oh my gosh. Do you guys think it's been a year? It probably has been a year since we've worked on this quilt. So this is a quilt along that we did a while back. And I finished the front, and I showed that at the beginning of the video here. But I never finished the back at all because I wanted to improv piece it. And I just never got it done. So it's Finish It Friday, so it's time to just putz around and work on a project that's unfinished. All right, so this has all these weird ends. I'm just gonna cut all those off. So we're just gonna cut from here to kind of where we were just doing, just cutting straight across. There we go. See, we got this piece and it's getting bigger here. Okay, so this is just sitting here. I wonder if this is big enough to sew onto here. Oh, that's almost just the right size. What about this way? Nope, you know what? I think I'm going to sew it along here. Then we can maybe get rid of some of this selvage up here. All right, doing it. 2017, oh my gosh, Bonnie, that feels like, oh my God, that feels like so long ago, 2017, sheesh. Yeah, so it's been a little while since working on this, huh? Wow, isn't it weird to think that there's a, I mean, I guess 2017 isn't that long ago, but it sounds like a while, and it's just annoying to know that there's a project sitting around from then. But, you know, I still have my jean quilt that I'm not done with, and that's been, you know, probably from 2007 or earlier. So that's been a little bit longer. All right, there we sewed those two pieces together. It's not quite equal, so I'm gonna just kind of trim, shave off that extra little bit and just call that a scrap. Can't all be in the quilt, but there we go. So this piece is getting bigger. This piece is getting bigger. I kind of ran out of my scraps that are on my table here. Let's just grab some more, see what's in here. We got these big kind of triangle pieces. What else? I'm literally just kind of grabbing from here. Okay, this is just like a big, this one's too skinny to sew. That one's eliminated. Let's see, what can we do with this orange piece? We could sew these two pieces together. Let's see what that happens with that. All right, I'm just putting right sides together, and we're just gonna trim this off, and I'll trim it more later. All I know is that if I keep making these pieces bigger, eventually it'll be big enough to sew onto a bigger piece, and it'll just keep growing. And these are all the scraps from the front of the quilt. So while we were sewing the front, I saved everything in this little Ziploc pouch. Even all the little scraps, and then we just so I could sew it in the quilt. But here we go. Look, we're just making it bigger and bigger and bigger. All right, I wonder if, so we sewed this piece earlier. Do you think this fits on somewhere now? Ooh, maybe it's a little, might be a little short for up there, but what about here? That's about right. Should we put it here? I think so. Let's put those sides together. Just gonna make this kind of strip bigger. You could just sew a ton of small pieces together and see what happens, but if I can join a piece, I try to. And again, I'm doing like two pieces at once just so I don't have to get a leader and take it off the machine. So I always have to kind of remember where I was. So all right, we did this kind of goofy bit here. Just finger press that. All right, that's kind of silly. Why don't we stick another one of these funny triangles? Yeah, let's do that. That'll be kind of fun. We're making like this little fan thing. There we go. And, you know, I'm being a little sloppy here too, which is totally fine. I mean, we're improv piecing here. If it's not a perfect 1/4 inch, that's fine. If I got a little fabric hanging over the edge, who cares? I can trim all that off later. I am just, you know, I'm not pressing it perfectly. I'm just kind of finger pressing it here. I just want to make this get bigger. But look, it's coming along. All right, now we're gonna have to do quite a bit to get a piece this big here. What do we got laying here? These two pieces are the same size. Let's start there. Gotta start somewhere. Two pieces are the same size, sew them together. Okay, where is this guy getting to? Now this is an oddball shape. I'm going to trim some of this excess seam allowance off now. Oop. Holding the scissors upside down. All right. Oop. Out of here, fuzzles. Ooh, that's kind of fun. All right, what can we do with this? It's not big enough to put on this shape yet. Ooh, this guy can probably go. Yeah, great. He fits along one of these edges. Okay, what we got going on here? Oh, this is those two little pieces that I sewed together. It'll eventually be a big piece. Yeah, those dang fuzzles all the time. All right, this guy's still laying here. I don't think we can do anything with him yet. We'll just let him be. What else do we got? Not quite. This is, I'm not gonna, these are a little too close to the selvage. Ooh, here's a good looking piece. Is that big enough? No, it's a little different. These two could maybe go together. Yeah, we're gonna sew these two edges together. Okay, where is this one going now? Hey Jane, I am improv piecing tonight. I'm just taking a whole pile of random scraps. Maybe I'll get a little higher up so you guys can see a little bit better. I am taking scraps from my I Love Home quilt. Look, it's just have this little sliver of color there. That's cool. From my, from the I Love Home quilt. And I'm just sewing them all together for the back of my quilt. So eventually all of these will hopefully be large enough. Okay, I'm going to sew this itty bitty tiny piece to this itty bitty tiny piece. But hopefully all these will be big enough if we keep sewing them together that I will have used up my scraps and I will have made enough, scrappy improv pieced fabric to fill the back of my quilt. And I don't, this is a lot of teeny tiny stuff, but I do actually have large pieces as well. And we'll sew some of this onto some larger pieces yet. All right, let's see. This kind of turned into a big piece pretty quickly. Not big enough for that yet. I'm gonna grab some more out of here. Here's a pretty good size piece. Ooh, there, this is a great size piece. What can we do with this? I think we could probably sew. Yeah, I think we can cut across here. Let's just sew this together. There, that'll make it larger pretty quick. But now we're back to this itty bitty piece. I don't know why I felt the need to sew this tiny piece to here. Let's see what's hanging out down here. I think I tried playing with this piece already. Just digging around in my scraps some more. My scraps are pretty stringy here. I don't really have any super large scraps. Like, I mean, I suppose I could sew these selvages. Yeah, this kind of works right here. Let's just sew the selvage to a selvage. I can't tell if this is making me more anxious, feeling like I have to sew all these pieces together, or if this is making me feel like less anxious. I don't know. So we got this other second piece. That could almost go all the way across here. That'd be kind of cool. Let's do that. It's a little small, but I think it'll be fine. We'll just trim it later. Yeah, it's a lot smaller actually than I thought, but oh well. Okay, what do we have on the machine here? All right, I'm going to trim across here. Get this to be a straight edge. Okay, is this big enough to sew to anything? I keep going back to this tiny little piece. I have no idea why. But this is a little bit larger now. So it needs to be a little larger yet. So what else can we sew to it? Oh, here's a big chunk. Oh, here's a nice big long strip. Okay, we could sew this onto something. I'm gonna save that. I think we can sew this to the larger piece. Ooh, but maybe we can sew something to the end. That'd be fun. How's this for size? Ooh, this is kind of just the right size. All right, we're gonna add it to the end of this long, weird strip for no reason. Other than one edge is a similar size to the other. Makes this strip just a little more special, I suppose. All right, now this is getting to be an oddball shape here. Oh, Robin, you saw a sneak peek of Jacqueline's upcoming block of the month. Ooh, I will have to look at that. I haven't seen it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, she does some really nice block of the months, and that's when we did this one, and this was just such a fun project. But look at this. This is turning out to be something, right? It's getting bigger. I suppose I could actually press this for real at some point here. Okay, what else can we do? Let's try and even out these. I still have these kind of funny triangles. This might help make this a square. It's maybe a little small, these triangles. But who cares? Let's do it. All right, and here's that funny strip that I just added some stuff to the end. Okay, what else can we do? Let's see if we can sew this onto something bigger. Like I have this brown piece here yet. Although this white piece is a lot larger. What about this green piece? I really like this green piece. Maybe let's just sew it to this and then trim off the excess white and just see what we got. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put these right side together. This is kind of an oddball shape. This will kind of trim that shape up a little bit maybe. All right. I wanted to get a bigger piece sewn. Although I do like sewing the small pieces a little bit better. Kind of less stuff flopping around. All right, let's grab that last piece again. Okay. Should we add this little piece up here? I think so, and then we can just kind of trim this off. And then we've got kind of, we could trim this to a square, and then we'd have something that's probably more easily sewn onto something else. All right, what do we have here now? All right, since I did make this larger, I'm going to, or I trimmed it to a larger piece, I am going to trim that off. So I'm going to just finger press this and just follow the line of my fabric and go straight up. There we go. There, so this became a larger piece. And look, here's this goofy little improv bit on the end, which is just kind of fun. Let's see, now let's kind of trim this. Let's kind of make this square-ish. So I'm going to just eyeball it, kind of go in line with the other fabric, and same thing here. There we go. So now this is kind of more square. So now we have a good kind of chunk here. Actually, it's got this little divot. I'm going to extend that too, as if I'm have one long piece. There, now this can be sewn to something else. And I have a pretty good size rectangle right here. I wonder if this fits anywhere on the quilt right now. So I have kind of this bigger section of the back of the quilt. And you know, it's kind of hard to see here, so I will definitely flip this around so you guys can see later. All right, what if we want this on the bottom? How much bigger do we need this to be? Okay, I need like a chunk like this here. I wonder if this white would help me get there. Not quite, and I need a bit here. Let's see. I could probably start with sewing these two pieces together. That would get me the width, but then I would just need a little bit more down here. Okay, we got a project. I'm gonna try and make this green piece this much longer so I can sew it onto the larger piece. That's my goal right now. Okay. All right. And then, again, we're doing two things at once here. So what do we got here? This piece is just cool. All right. Ooh, this might be able to fit on the edge now. I think so. Let's sew this on the edge, and then we can trim this. Trim this a little bit so we got a little rectangle. Maybe I'll sew this side on. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So this is just, I mean, this might just all look like a pile of mess that we're doing now, but it is just fun to watch these little pieces grow larger and larger. Oh, look. This piece is just about the size of this random little piece that we've been trying to fit to something. So let's sew that to this before I lose the pieces. Oh, there, here, let's trim this. All right, wow, look at this piece. This, I think we did this all tonight so far. So I'm gonna actually, this is getting a little unruly now, so I'm gonna press this just to kind of flatten it out and see if we can tame it a little bit. And I think I'll probably trim it into more of a rectangle. Then we can try and actually sew it to something else. It's kind of cool though. We got this little diamond shape going on with it. Okay, so that's pretty neat. All right, so there's that shape. Let's see, what can we do with that? So this piece, we're still trying to get big enough. I need it taller, so I need like a chunk right there, and I don't think I have that yet. Let's see what else is hiding in the scraps. Probably not anything that big. Here's some scraps. Are those big enough? I don't think so. Not quite yet. Nothing quite yet. Oh, there's a piece sewn together. It's always fun to see something sewn together. Have a nice weekend, Noeline. It's always a little hard to know what to do here. I think some of these, I mean, like all these scraggles, I'm not going to do anything with, so let's just set those to the side. Actually, our little bin of scraps here is looking pretty slim. I think I pretty much got a whole, I mean, there's some little pieces that we could, like this one we can try and do something with, but I think we're getting to the bottom of this stack here. Here, let's just sew these two pieces together and see what happens. Maybe I can cut it and make it large enough. I don't know. Let's just give it a go. Sewing together all the crazy little pieces tonight. It's fun though. I do like doing this every once in a while. It's freeing because there's no real rules. All I'm trying to do is make the fabric bigger. And it's satisfying because I'm using up stuff. All right, so this got a little bit bigger. I wonder if this piece fits to it now. I think that'll work. Let's flip it around. There, that's kind of cool. Oop. All right, what were we doing here? We could kind of just trim this. You know, we had those weird, I had an extra one of those triangles hanging out somewhere. This is a good looking piece. Keep that one out. Oh, look. Found another one of those really big triangles. Okay. This we'll use for something. That's an easy way to grow a piece of fabric quickly. There, that's about just the right size there. I'm going to sew it onto this brown piece though. We'll angle it a little bit. This will be a way to kind of straighten that piece, maybe. a little bit bigger. But now this piece might fit on here. Yeah, I think that's big enough. Let's just add that to it. It's a hair smaller, but that's okay. We'll trim this edge off. All right, this is looking goofy. I wonder if we can trim it though to fit on here and then have this be big enough. I think we're gonna do that. Let's just sew this, whatever can fit, onto here. And then we'll trim the excess off. I'm anxious about making that one piece large enough to stitch on to the other one. All right. Ooh, what does this look like now? Getting cuter. What else do we got? Oh, that's a pretty big piece. Oh, but maybe on the end. No, not quite. Some of these oblong shapes I trim. There, we could probably sew these two together. Sometimes if you, oop, that's connected. If you lay the pieces on top of each other like this, and then trim, you can get some pieces that match up. There, now I can put these two together. Okay. Now this piece I wanted to try and, there, we made this a little larger. I'm going to continue this line here. Okay, now let's see if this big chunk is big enough to put on the green. So remember, we have this green piece here. I'm trying to get it big enough to sew onto the other piece, but look, now it's tall enough. So now I could just kind of trim across here. So I'm going to sew these two together. I wonder if it should go this way though. Nah, I kind of like it up here. We're going to sew these two pieces together, and then I will just trim off what's here. And then I think we'll be wide enough to sew onto the larger piece. What's this cute little triangle hanging out here? Oh, that's what we just trimmed off. All right. Get these ends together. Yeah, so Robin, I did something similar for the Charming Chevrons quilt. Like the Charming Chevrons quilt, we sewed together all of the scraps like this and then cut those scraps into chevrons themselves and then use that for the back. And I had such a good time doing that. And it's kind of, I just really enjoy using up scraps like this now. I mean, it does take a ton of extra time, and you know, maybe I won't do it all the time, but it is fun. All right, we're gonna leave that one as is. Okay, that's sewn together. Maybe this can be sewn. Nope, doesn't fit on this. We made this rather large tonight. All right. We don't have to work on that one now. We had some longer strips. Maybe that can... Oh yeah, look, this is just about the same width as this. Yeah, we're gonna sew it onto this side. And this will kind of square it up a little bit too, I think. Yeah, we're gonna sew it right like that. All right. Okay. So now this piece should be just about big enough to stitch onto the large piece. So here we are. Let's get in. All right, from here to there. Okay, yeah, we're looking pretty good. I am going to trim this off. And I actually do think I need to maybe add back a little bit here. But I think we can find a piece. Actually, this piece hanging out down here might work perfectly. So this is a nice piece right here that we can use for something. Actually, this seam allowance is pretty crazy. I'm going to trim this too. Oh, it looks like I should have done that earlier, but oh well. There we go. Yeah, I think we need an extra little bit up there. Might just sew this back onto it. Let's see. Yep, you know what? It's the same fabric, but I'm going to sew it right on there. All right, so as soon as I get this piece big enough and sewn on to the larger piece, I think we might call that a night, but I think we got this other big chunk of fabric going here too, so I'm pretty happy with that. Let's cut some of these edges off. All right. And like I said, I think we're almost done with our little bin of tiny pieces, so now we can really start sewing some of the larger pieces together. There we go. We still got this kind of goofy rectangle thing happening. Just keep adding to it. Let's see. What else? Is this piece long enough? Nope. Could just add another piece to it like that. Why don't we do that? Just basically to get this off of the machine. I want to sew something else on, so I'm going to just trim this. There we go. Oh yeah, it's funny too. I mean, like, these were literally all scraps, right? And look at the size of the piece of fabric it made, you know? So those little scraps, they do actually go quite some ways. It's kind of crazy. So don't throw them all out right away. Okay, so now this piece, oop, I gotta trim it. All right, let's check this out now. Trying to get you guys up a little higher. All right, we just made this a little just a tiny hair bigger here. Even though it's like the same fabric, it's still kind of fun though. So all right, now this green piece with our extra chunk that we added here, I think it is large enough now to sew on our larger back piece. And oh my gosh, this is really gonna make this piece bigger really quickly. So we'll sew this on, and then I think we'll take a look at it and call it an evening here. Yeah, this is gonna work well, I think. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Yep, and then I can just kind of trim this a little bit, it looks like. All right, sewing it together. All right, there we are. So again, I am sewing the big piece that I already had done for the back of the quilt that I improv pieced, you know, in 2017 apparently, to this chunk that we just made here. So it's crazy because this is just gonna get like almost twice as big all of a sudden. I mean, really, it could be the size of a baby quilt right now. So yeah, I think this is definitely good progress. You know, and so these Finish It Fridays, these first Fridays of the month where I work on something else, I mean, it is just, we are just working on it for an hour here, right? But every time I've done this, it has jump-started me to get the whole project done. So, you know, now that I'm working on this again, I just kind of want to leave it out and try and just get farther and farther with it. Because eventually I want to quilt this and get it done for real. Actual finished project. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, I am going to take this off of the machine now, which means I'm going to start another one of my funny little leaders here. So this is another, I think, actually, you guys, this was last month's Finish It Friday. I just cut up a bunch of fabric, old clothing, for the purpose of using as these leaders. And these leaders will sometime, I'll sometimes sew all these little triangles that I'm making by doing this into a quilt. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, you really can get a lot done in an hour here. We're gonna get this quilt just, yeah, that much further. Okay, so there is a lot of excess on here, and I am gonna kind of trim that, I think. But let's trim it with it open. Yeah, so all I'm gonna do is, and again, I'm doing this all kind of by hand, or with just the rotary cutter. I'm gonna kind of equalize out this piece here. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball it up to the top, and I'm sure that'll get edited more later. But there, we added this goofy little piece here. So that's some fun improv piecing onto the larger piece. And then we also, where'd that other cool piece go? Well, we made this little piece, and let's see, might have gone to the floor. Oh no, it's probably still attached to this. Yeah, here we go. We made this piece tonight too. So I will flip you guys around and we'll take a look at all of these. That's a pretty good sized chunk too. So all right, I'm gonna flip you around and we'll call it an evening here. All right, hello. I'm gonna get you guys way back here again so I can show you the progress. So again, this is for the back of my I Love Home quilt. And look, so we added this whole, ooh, it's pretty. We added this whole green chunk onto here. So look how big this got. This is like a, you know, maybe even a quarter of what we need here. Ooh, and that green is so pretty. And look with this little like slice of yellow in there, that's cool. So there we go. Our improv piece is bigger. It's fun with this because I have a lot of bigger pieces of fabric So soon we'll really start adding those extra chunks of fabric on there. So, all right, and then here we got this. This is a tiny little piece that we made. So eventually, you know, even this is even tinier. So eventually this will be big enough to sew onto something else. And then this is a pretty good size chunk that we got. Now that's a really kind of neat improv piece thing. So this will probably like pretty easily be able to get onto another larger piece pretty quick and get sewn onto this larger back. So I don't know, I'm feeling good about it. It's nice to pull this project out again and take a look at it. It's been a long time. It's been folded up in my office. So yeah, I'm ready to keep going with this. Let's get this guy done. So awesome, guys. Thank you again for joining me tonight. I will get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies if you wanted to improv piece with me again. And I will be back on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time here on the Penguin and Fish Facebook. Thanks again. Have a fabulous weekend. Share what you're doing on the Penguin and Fish Crafters page, and I'll take a look. Good night, everyone.